Let's get straight to the point. You're sitting in a safe house in suburban Ohio, watching your daughter play with a toy you bought her 3 days ago, and you know with absolute certainty that someone is coming to kill you both. The marshals promised you're invisible. They promised the new identities are airtight. But you've seen what the Sinaloa Cartel does to people who testify, and promises don't stop bullets. Your hands shake as you pour cereal. Your daughter asks why you look sad. You tell her you're just tired. She's 6. She believes you. But before you understand how you got here, how you went from ambitious DEA agent to the most protected witness in federal custody, you need to understand what you saw. It starts in Culiacan. You're 32, fluent in Spanish, hungry to make your career mean something. The DEA sends you deep cover into the Sinaloa logistics network, not as an agent, as an accountant. Because the cartel doesn't just move drugs, it moves billions in. Cash, and someone has to make the numbers work. You spend 6 months building your legend, a financial analyst with gambling debts and flexible morals, the kind of person who'd take cartel money and keep his mouth shut. They recruit you on a Tuesday. A man in an expensive suit meets you at a cafe in Guadalajara. He doesn't introduce himself. He slides a folder across the table. Inside, your real name, your real address, your mother's phone number. "We know who you are," he says. The question is whether you want to keep being that person. You're supposed to feel fear. Instead, you feel something else. Excitement. You're in. The first month, you think you're winning. You're inside. You're documenting everything. Wire transfers, shell companies, distribution networks. You send encrypted reports to your handler twice a week. The DEA is ecstatic. You're building a case that could take down half the cartel's financial infrastructure. Then you meet him. They don't tell you his name at first. They just say, "El Patron wants to see you." You're driven to a compound outside the city. High walls, armed guards, the kind of place where people disappear. You're led through a garden where children are playing. His children. He's sitting at a table under a pergola, drinking coffee, reading a newspaper. He looks up when you approach, smiles. "Sit," he says. "I've heard good things." He's not what you expected. No gold chains, no visible weapons. He's wearing a polo shirt. He asks about your background, your family, your education. He's charming, thoughtful. He talks about his own children, about wanting them to have opportunities he never had. Then he says, "I need someone I can trust with the real numbers, someone smart enough to see the whole picture." He slides a laptop across the table. "Show me what you can do." You spend 3 hours walking him through a financial restructuring plan. He listens, asks intelligent questions. When you're done, he nods. You're hired, but understand. Once you see the whole operation, you can't unsee it. You're family now, and family doesn't leave. Something cold moves through your chest, but you smile. You shake his hand. The next 6 months are a masterclass in compartmentalization. By day, you're the cartel's financial architect. You restructure their entire money laundering operation. You save them millions in losses. You become indispensable. El Patron trusts you, confides in you. By night, you're documenting everything. The DEA is building a case that will make history. You tell yourself, the ends justify the means. Then comes the day that breaks you. El Patron calls you to the compound. When you arrive, there's a man tied to a chair in the garden. You recognize him. A logistics coordinator you've worked with. El Patron is standing beside him, relaxed, drinking coffee. "We have a problem," he says. "Someone's been talking to the Americans, sharing information." He looks at you. "I need you to see this, so you understand how seriously I take loyalty." What happens next takes 11 minutes. You stand there and watch. You don't look away. That would be suspicious. You watch a man you've shared meals with beg for his life. You watch El Patron nod to an enforcer. You watch what happens when the human body is subjected to methodical violence. When it's over, El Patron turns to you. "Family protects family," he says. "Remember that." You go back to your apartment and vomit for an hour. That night, you contact your handler. You tell him you're done. You've seen enough. You want out. He tells you to wait. Just a few more weeks. The case is almost ready. You tell him about the man in the garden. Your handler goes quiet. Then, "Did you document it?" You hang up, but you don't leave. Because here's the thing about being deep cover. You can't just quit. The cartel thinks you're family. The DEA thinks you're an asset. Both sides own pieces of you. So you keep going. You keep building the case. You keep sitting across from El Patron, discussing quarterly projections while the smell of blood lingers in your memory. 3 months later, the DEA is ready to move. They extract you on a Sunday morning. One moment you're in Culiacan. The next, you're in a federal facility in San Diego, surrounded by lawyers and agents being told you're a hero. You don't feel like a hero. You feel like a ghost. The trial takes 8 months. You testify for 6 days. You sit in a courtroom and describe the cartel's financial operations in excruciating detail. You identify faces. You authenticate documents. Defense attorneys call you a liar, a criminal, a man who profited from cartel money. They're not wrong, but the evidence is overwhelming. The jury convicts on 93 counts. El Patron gets life without parole. He looks at you across the courtroom as the verdict is read. He doesn't look angry. He looks disappointed, like you've let the family down. That's when you enter WITSEC. New name, new city, new life. The marshals set you up in Ohio with a manufactured background. You're a financial consultant now. Legitimate, boring, safe. They give you a stipend, a house in a quiet neighborhood, regular check-ins. They tell you the cartel will never find you. You want to believe them. But you know how the cartel works. You helped build their intelligence networks. You know they have people everywhere. Cops, federal employees, IT contractors. You know they're patient. They'll spend years looking. They'll spend millions. Because letting a witness live sends the wrong message. So you wait. You get a job at a regional accounting firm. You meet a woman, a teacher, kind, uncomplicated. You don't tell her the truth. You marry her because loneliness is worse than lying. You have a daughter. You name her Sophia. You try to build something normal. But you never stop looking over your shoulder. Every car that slows down near your house. Every stranger who makes eye contact. Every phone call from an unknown number. You've memorized the escape routes from your house. You keep a go bag in the garage. You've taught your wife the panic protocol without telling her why it matters. The marshals say you're being paranoid. They say the cartel has moved on. Then, on a Tuesday morning, you see him. A man in a coffee shop, watching you, just for a moment. Then he's gone. You tell yourself you're imagining things. But that night, there's a car parked across the street. Different plates every night, but always there. You call your handler. He says he'll look into it. He sounds unconcerned. You stop sleeping. You start planning. If they've found you, they've found your family. The marshals can relocate you again, but how many times can you run? How many identities can one person have? 3 days ago, your handler calls. His voice is different, tight. We need to talk, in person. You meet him at a rest stop off E71. He tells you there's been a breach. Someone accessed the WITSEC database. They don't know what was taken. They don't know if your file was compromised, but they're relocating you. Tonight, new city, new identity, new everything. You ask about your wife, your daughter. He says they're coming too. You ask if you'll ever stop running. He doesn't answer. So here you are, safe house in suburban Ohio, watching your daughter play, waiting for the marshals to move you again, knowing that every relocation is just buying time. The cartel doesn't forget. They don't forgive. And they have infinite patience. You think about El Patron sometimes. He's in a supermax prison in Colorado, 23 hours a day in a concrete box. You put him there. You destroyed his empire, separated him from his family, ended his life as he knew it. And in return, he's destroyed. Yours. You're free technically, but you'll never be safe. You'll never be able to stop looking over your shoulder. You'll never be able to tell your daughter the truth about who you are. The most ironic part? You both ended up in prison. His just has bars you can see. Your daughter calls you over. She wants you to play with her. You smile. You sit down on the floor. You build a tower of blocks together. She knocks it down, laughing. You build it again. This is what your life is now. Building things you know will fall over and over, pretending each time that maybe this one will stand. Outside, a car drives slowly past the house. Probably nothing, probably a neighbor. You watch it disappear around the corner. Your hand moves unconsciously to your phone. The marshal's number is on speed dial. Sophia asks why you look scared. You tell her you're not scared, you're just thinking. She accepts this. Children believe what they need to believe. You learn that from El Patron. He had children too. They probably still think he's a businessman. The car passes by again. Same one. You're sure of it now. You pick up your daughter. You carry her to the kitchen where your wife is making dinner. You kiss them both. You tell them you love them. Your wife laughs, asks what's gotten into you. You don't answer, you just hold them. Because you know how this story ends. You've always known. You testified because you thought it was the right thing. You thought justice mattered. You thought the system would protect you. But here's what you've learned. There's no such thing as a safe witness. There's no such thing as a new life. There's only the life you had and the life you're pretending to have, and the space between them, where the truth lives. The cartel is patient. The cartel is thorough. And the cartel always collects its debts. The car is parked across the street now. Engine running. You can see the silhouette of someone in the driver's seat. Your wife hasn't noticed yet. Sophia is asking what's for dinner. You're calculating distances. The panic room is 15 feet away. The gun is in the bedroom. The marshals are 20 minutes out. Minimum. You think about that day in the garden, the man in the chair. El Patron's voice. Family protects family. You're not family anymore. You never were. The car door opens.